Back in 1993, there was an economic development board in our county where we live here, and they had this idea of trying to build an ethanol plant to try to help raise the price of corn, add some value to corn in the area. So that's about the beginning of when I got involved or even knew much about ethanol. It was early part of 93.
My introduction to the ethanol world was through a meeting in Sibley County, and a neighbor told me I should attend this meeting, but he wouldn't tell me what it was about. And so I went just because I was curious, and he said, we're going to start something new, and you're going to want to be part of it. So that was really my introduction to the ethanol world at the time.
Both of us were at the same meeting, and we showed up at the meeting, and they gave a presentation. 15, 20 minutes in, they stopped and said, anybody that's interested, stay, everybody else can leave. And 14 of us stayed, and that's our original board of directors at Heartland Corn Products in Winthrop, Minnesota. I think probably the reason I stayed for the meeting was more curiosity than anything. I was in my late 20s and corn prices were bad. Farming was not very good. And I thought, well, if we can try to add some value to our products, I'm interested in learning.
The reason I stayed in that meeting at the time was because corn prices were around $2, and we were all just looking for a way to add some value to the corn that we produced, because we were struggling year in, year out to try to get to $2.50 for corn. And it was a real challenge to do that. So we were looking for every nickel and dime that we could get to add value to our corn. And I thought, well, this may be some way that I can do that, and it would be different than what other people are doing. The majority of our shareholders are still within 40 miles of Winthrop, Minnesota, which is where the plant is located. At the time, we were talking to anyone that would listen. So all of our small meetings that we did for our potential shareholders, we were telling them, if we could get $2.75 for corn year in, year out, you could take a small portion of your production and commit it to Heartland Corn Products, and it would be a hedge against low prices. And if corn prices ever got higher than $2.75, well, then you have your other corn to market as you normally would. It took us 3 years to secure the financing to build the plant, and this was 1992, 3, and 4. We started production in 1995 at a time when corn prices were quite high, and it was a struggle to make it through those first years. But in the end, I think we knew that if we could just add some value to what we were doing at home, it was going to be good for all of our members.
So Heartland Corn Products, because it's 100% member owned by farmers in the area, are the profits, the value added that happens gets distributed directly back to the farmers that live in our area, who in turn spend that money in our area. So the benefit is much more than just the investors in Heartland Corn Products. It's the equipment dealers, it's the local communities, it's the car dealers, it's good high-paying jobs in the area for a bunch of employees. Heartland's pretty proud of the fact that we still have a handful of original employees after 32 years. Heartland now operates at roughly 150 million gallons a year, and so that's a lot of corn that runs through. That money turns in our local communities many times, and it's been a big benefit to the whole area.
There's different ways to measure success for any company. And I look back 30 years ago, and one of our former board members said, well, if we could get this plant built and we could run it for 5 or 10 years and everyone could get their money back, at least we'd have done something. And by that time, electric vehicles will have taken over, and then we can do something else. Now I look back 30 years later, and we're just finally starting to see electric vehicles become a significant market play. And yet our success has been way beyond what we ever imagined in those days.
The success of Heartland Corn Products has been fantastic for the area. The industry as a whole consumes so much corn, and agriculture has been extremely good at one thing, and that's producing more. And as agriculture produces more and more and more year in and year out, and the ethanol industry has expanded, it's created a market for a renewable product that globally can be used to help curb carbon and help with liquid fuels and transportation fuels and things like that. So the industry as a whole has been fantastic for the economy nationwide, agriculture specifically.
I think Heartland Corn Products was probably the single best decision that I've made on the farm since I started farming, and yet sometimes you're better off to be lucky than to be good. I happen to be close by this plant, which has been very successful, but that success has allowed me to do things and to weather the storm better when we have a year or two of lower prices. Being a member of Heartland and marketing my corn through ethanol has taken those low years and made them break even as opposed to losing money. And now having the next generation back on the farm, it's really rewarding to see those kind of opportunities that probably wouldn't have existed had I not been involved in the ethanol world.
I would agree completely. We have on our operation 2 sons back in the operation. I don't know that without Heartland Corn Products that would have happened. It allowed us to build a fairly stable business out of farming, specifically corn, but we have other crops. And that in turn has allowed an opportunity for us to have some sons return to the farm and continue for another generation.
For me, success is something that you're never sure you quite attain. So it's an ongoing process. And I think one of the keys or the secret sauce to Heartland has always been the people. And so I don't know that I ever really had a time where I knew for sure we made it. Maybe one of those first years when we actually consistently paid a value to our members over the price of corn. And we did that several years in a row, and then we kind of thought we made it. I think what's been our secret sauce for so many years, and again, it's maybe better to be lucky than to be good, is the people that we have involved have been so good and have been either good managers, good operators. We had a good board of directors. That's hard to find for a long period of time, like 30 years, and the success that we have. I would largely credit that to the people that are involved.
One of the things that I would probably take the most pride in with regard to Heartland Corn Products is, from a success standpoint, is the fact that we return all of our local profits to our members. And in addition to our local plant at Winthrop, Heartland Corn Products is part of an investment group that owns 3 other facilities in multiple or 3 different locations. And so we have had the ability to have, because of the returns from our offsite investments, we use those returns to help improve and maintain our facility, which allows us to pay 100% of our local earnings out to our members. I think that's very unique, and it's one thing that I'm quite proud of, is that we have the ability to return a bunch of cash to our owners.